All right, let's pull back the curtain on something we all rely on but almost never see: global shipping. We're going to break down exactly how the stuff you own makes its absolutely incredible journey from the other side of the world right to you. I mean, really think about it. It's such a simple question, right? But the answer? Well, that's a wild story of incredible coordination, amazing technology, and a whole lot of acronyms. From a factory floor thousands of miles away to your front door, there's this hidden world of logistics making it all happen. And today, we're going to map it all out. Okay, so to get started, let's meet the star of the show. And it's probably not who you think. It isn't the captain of some giant ship or the pilot of a cargo plane. Nope, it's the master coordinator, the one who pulls all the strings. Meet the freight forwarder. Now, these guys don't actually own the massive ships or the jumbo jets, but they are the absolute critical link in the entire chain. They're the ones who orchestrate the whole journey for your goods, booking space on a vessel, handling all that complex paperwork, you name it. They are literally the travel agent for your stuff. Now, before a single box can even think about moving, the person selling the goods and the person buying them have to agree on some really basic ground rules, like who's responsible for the cargo and at what exact point does that responsibility get handed off. And that is where Incoterms come in. You can just think of these as the official handshake agreement for global trade. They're a set of rules that clearly spell out who pays for what, and more importantly, who carries the risk if something goes wrong at any point in the journey. So let's check out two of the most common ones to see how this works. Under EXW or XWorks, the seller's job is basically done as soon as the box is packed and ready at their factory. That's it. The buyer has to handle everything else. But if they agree on FOB or free on board, the seller is responsible for getting the goods all the way to the port and loaded onto the ship. This one decision, this three-letter acronym, completely changes the costs, the risks, and the workload. It's a huge deal. So, the rules are set. Now it's time to actually get our cargo moving. Let's take a look at the giants who physically haul this stuff across the planet and a really clever rule about how they charge for it. The real heavy lifting is done by a surprisingly small club of massive global carriers. You've got ocean giants like Maersk, MSC, and COSCO running fleets of ships the size of small cities. And in the sky, you have airlines like Emirates and Qatar Airways connecting the globe. These companies are the literal backbone of global trade. Most of the things you buy, pretty much all of your everyday stuff, travels on these container vessels. They are the undisputed workhorses of the sea, carrying thousands of those familiar steel boxes on routes that crisscross the entire planet. But what about stuff that has wheels, like a car or a big piece of construction equipment? For that, you've got RoRo ships. RoRo stands for roll-on/roll-off, and they work exactly like they sound. Cars are just driven on, parked, and then driven off at the destination. It's basically a giant floating parking garage. Okay, when you ship by air, there's this really important pricing rule you gotta know. See, airlines care about two things: how heavy your package is and how much space it takes up. So what they do is they calculate something called volume weight based on its size, and they compare that to its actual weight. And here's the kicker: you get charged for whichever one is greater. That's why a big, light box of fluffy pillows can actually cost way more to ship than a small, heavy box of books. Space is money. All right, our cargo is booked, it's ready to fly, but it can't go anywhere without its official passport. And in the shipping world, this is probably the single most important piece of paper in the entire process. It's called the Bill of Lading, or BL for short. And this document is a triple threat. First, it's a receipt, proof that the carrier has your goods. Second, it's the contract. It spells out the terms of the deal. And third, and this is the big one, it's proof of ownership. Whoever has the original bill of lading is legally entitled to the cargo. It's the golden ticket. Now, just to make it a little more interesting, there are often two different BLs for the same shipment. The shipping line gives a master BL to the freight forwarder. Then the forwarder issues their own house BL to the person actually shipping the stuff. This two-layer system is really smart because it lets the freight forwarder bundle lots of smaller shipments from different customers into one big, organized booking for the carrier. Okay, now that we know the players and the paperwork, let's decode some of that lingo you'll see on the documents. It's like an alphabet soup of shipping terms, but once you know a few, you can track just about any shipment's journey. Every voyage has a clear beginning. That's the POL, or port of loading. Simple enough. It's where the journey starts. And you guessed it, the destination is the POD, or port of discharge. It's where the goods get unloaded.
And of course, the one everyone is always asking about is the ETA, the estimated time of arrival. Yeah, that's the million-dollar question for pretty much every shipment on the planet.
Finally, you're going to hear FCL and LCL all the time. FCL means full container load. You've booked the whole box just for your stuff. LCL is less than container load, which means your smaller shipment is sharing space with other people's goods. Just think of it like booking a private taxi versus buying a single seat on a bus. Woohoo! Our box has made it across the ocean. It's arrived at the port of discharge. But hold on, the journey is not quite over yet. The final mile has its own special set of challenges. So once that container is lifted off the ship, it has to run a final gauntlet. First, it's got to pass inspection and get cleared by the local customs authority. Then there are terminal handling charges you have to pay just to get it out of the port. And finally, you have to get it loaded onto a truck or a train for that very last leg of the journey to a warehouse or a store. And this right here is where our hero, the freight forwarder, really shines. Their job is to navigate this whole complicated final stage. They're the ones coordinating with customs, paying the port fees, and lining up the trucks, all to make sure that handoff is as smooth as possible. So when you really boil it all down, the journey of your stuff is so much more than just a boat trip. It's this incredibly complex global ballet of coordinators, carriers, rules, and documents, all working together in perfect rhythm to make our modern lives and the whole world economy possible. And this whole system is always changing. We're talking digital documents, greener fuels, even self-sailing ships. It really makes you wonder, right? With thousands of ships moving billions of things at this very second, what's the next big thing that's going to completely change how your world gets delivered to you? Pretty cool to think about.